If you define yourself as somebody who is really conservative, you're not going to be crazy and act nuts unless you're really drunk or something, and then you can say it's the alcohol, when it's really just you finally getting permission to be yourself. The alcohol is your excuse. If you're a really crazy person, you act crazy, outrageous, playful. You don't act conservative because that's not who you are. Very often people say, well, I can't do that. I'm not that kind of person. And I always say to people, really, when did you define yourself? I mean, really, how many years ago did you come up with what you could and couldn't do in your life? How many years ago?
Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on.
I'd like to ask you to take a look at any place you've got a limitation and ask yourself, when did I decide to accept that limitation? And you may not even see it as a limitation. You might see it as just that's who I am. But so often in our lives, we've adapted to be a certain way so that we don't fail or so that people will like us or respect us, but it's not necessarily who we are.
And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up.
So the question is, I said, what if every time the train comes, we train ourselves to celebrate, to feel good, to enjoy? I said, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Every time we are trained, I don't care if you're in the middle of the most important conversation of your life. I don't care if we're doing something what you think is so important. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if all the books are on your chair. I want you to instantly just drop everything, and I want you to jump and start to celebrate like a little kid, like it's the greatest gift of your life. And then we're going to end with a whoa clap, and then we're going to laugh hysterically into our chair. And if you can't laugh, I want you to fake laugh into your chair. Because most of you know, if you fake laugh, what starts to happen? Real laughter comes, right? How many of you have a situation either at home or in your work environment where there's some unfinished business? Where there's a situation with a person or a situation that you need to handle, and it's stressful inside when you think about it, so you try not to think about it and do other stuff. But it's got to be handled, and you've not handled it. How many got an area where there's some suffering like that? Raise your hand nice and high. Let me see. Virtually everybody. Good. Think of that situation that really bugs you, and really think about how it really feels if you really let yourself focus on it. And feel what that suffering will be like. And I want you to pick something that on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is total suffer and 0 is no suffering at all, that's in the 8 or above range at least. 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't pick a little one because you won't notice in this quick moment enough for you to feel. I want you to feel a difference. How many got something that needs to be handled, you've not resolved it, you're either pissed off or you feel hurt or you feel worried or you're concerned and you've not handled it and you put it off and it needs to be handled? Raise your hand if you got, and the pain of it is that if you focus on it, is 7, 8, 9, or 10. Let me see your hands. Awesome. Here's what I want to show you. A group of scientists discovered something about 20 years ago that's amazing.
So here's what we found. Research has been done on how we get stressed, and there's something interesting they discovered. When you're born, your heart starts to beat. That's birth. That's when you're alive. I don't mean born outside, I mean inside the womb. There's no brain when your heart starts to beat. What makes your heart beat? It has its own intelligence, and it affects your brain, it affects your life, it affects everything. When we get in our head, we're dead. We overanalyze, we look at things, we get stressed out, but in our heart, we know the answer. So these researchers they were nominated for a Nobel Prize because they found that if you focus on your heart, you put your hands on your heart. Let's go ahead and do it. Put your hands on your heart. In fact, if you would you stand up? I think it'll get more of your body engaged. You've been sitting so long. Shake your body out just for a second here, just for a second. If you're at home, do the same, right? All right, now, put both your hands on your heart. Breathe deep inside your heart, meaning close your eyes if you would, and feel your hands touching your heart. Feel the power of your heart. And what we're gonna do is for 2 minutes, we're just gonna get grateful. Remember earlier I said, the two emotions that mess us up are anger and fear. They mess up your relationships, they mess up your financial decisions, they mess up career stuff, they mess up things with our kids. But when you're grateful, you can't be angry. When you're grateful, you can't be fearful. So we're gonna spend 2 minutes of gratitude, but we're gonna focus on our heart because research shows wherever focus goes, energy flows. And when you focus on the heart, it changes literally how your brain functions. I could show you an image of when you're frustrated and you'll see EEGs, EKGs. That's the electrical power in your brain and your heart, and they're jagged and they're all over. We'll probably put it on the screen when they cut this. But if you breathe in your heart for 2 minutes, focusing on 3 things you're grateful for, they literally become in sync. They round and they're one. And when they're one, your heart has the answer. So breathe deep in your heart and let's begin. As you breathe deep in your heart, feel the power of your heart. Feel the strength of your heart. Feel the beauty of your heart. What are you proud your heart has guided you to do in this life? Or to give? Or to enjoy? Or to love? Feel the power of your heart. It beats 100,000 times a day and you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything. In fact, something loved you enough to give you this heart at the very beginning. You didn't have to earn it, did you? You didn't have to prove yourself. You didn't have to prove your worth. Something knows your worth and gave you this gift. You can call it God, the universe, whatever you call it, but feel that powerful heart that beats and is always there for you and has been for decades, and give thanks for it. And as you're breathing in this sense of appreciation and gratitude, we're gonna take about 1.5 minutes and focus on 3 moments in your life you could feel deeply grateful for. They could be any 3 moments. It could be from your childhood, it could be from today, it could have been from 10 months ago. Any moment that you could step back in that memory as if you were there and fill up with a sense of gratitude. So right now, I'd like you to think of one of those moments. A magic moment, a beautiful moment from any stage of your life. What's been one of the most beautiful moments of your life? Yes. So breathe deep, breathe in your heart, and step into that moment that you cherish. And fill up with appreciation, with gratitude, with joy. And feel yourself going into a beautiful state as you breathe in your heart and feel like you're there. Think of a second moment now that you could be deeply grateful for. Again, it could have been at any stage. It could be something little or big. Step into that moment, breathe like you were breathing then. See what you were seeing then. Hear and feel what you were hearing and feeling then. And fill up with that feeling of gratitude, of enjoyment. And then finally, one more moment that you could feel grateful for. What would be a really beautiful moment in your life you could relive? Step into that moment now. Breathe deep into it. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt. Fill up. Fill up with love or gratitude or joy. And if you can feel it, it feels good, fill up with that gratitude. And then ask yourself about that thing that used to stress you a few minutes ago. Say, all I need to remember, all I need to focus on, all I need to do in that situation is what? And trust your heart, it knows the answer that fast. Feel your heart. All I need to focus on in that situation, all I really need to do, all I need to really appreciate or feel or experience, all I need to focus on, all I need to believe, all I need to do is what? And your heart knows the answer. Raise your right hand with your eyes closed if you know the answer. If you know exactly what to do to resolve the situation, raise your right hand nice and high if you would right now. And keep your hand up. As soon as you got it, raise your hand. Perfect. Keep your hand up. And then open your eyes and look at the percentage of people who just in 2 minutes have figured out how to solve what was so stressful. If you look around, it's about 90%. For those of you that are still there, you're kind of hanging on a little bit. And for those that are doing that, there are other techniques, but did it reduce it? Yes, even for those. So for you, ma'am, you didn't, which one didn't raise your hand? One of you didn't raise your hand. Yeah, so did it reduce it for you? So where was it and where is it now? Oh, it went from a 9 to a 6. So we could do a second one and we'll stack it. So what I want you to do is, this is a way in 2 minutes, you're starting to feel stressed, you breathe in your heart, you focus on what you're grateful, 3 things, and then you look at the problem and from your heart, you solve it. How many got it? Let me see your hands. How many got it like this?
Have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. One of the central principles of my life is that no one knows enough to be a pessimist about anything. And that each and every one of us, when we close our mind to what is possible for us or what is possible for humanity, closes off the genius that resides and lives in each and every one of us. Having an open mind doesn't necessarily mean finding fault with all of the things that you've been taught by others. It means opening yourself up to the potentiality and the possibility that anything and everything is possible. So having a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing really means finding within ourselves the ability to get rid of a trait that I find so common in the contemporary world. Do you know that most people that I meet spend their lives